Welcome to our weekly Blue Jay football press conference today. We're going to talk a little bit about last week's game and then this week's game on homecoming that we have here at Liberty High School. Last week we had a disappointing loss to Truman, game in which we led for 3 of the 4 quarters and had a rough fourth quarter that led to them some turnovers that led to some points for them that ended up with us losing the game. This week we have St. Joe Central coming in for a homecoming game again at Liberty High School. All right.
Good morning, Coach Frigon.
Good morning.
So our first question is, can you explain to us like the positive and negative aspects that you had at your last home game?
Yeah, when you look at, I think the biggest positive we had, and even though the score at the end was wide, our defense played pretty well, especially in the second half. They shut things down. They scored 3 times in the fourth quarter, and 2 of them were directly off of our offense with an interception return and then a punt that was blocked. And then the other time they scored was when we punted out of our end zone. We were unable to get first downs, punted out of our end zone, gave them all in the 40. They're a good offensive team. They had 9 starters that were seniors on offense and really run their system well and put together some big drives throughout the game. So, but overall defensively in the second half, that was a positive. Our special teams were positive. We had a kickoff return for a touchdown and then also had a punt return for a touchdown as well. So we were pleased with that part of the game. Offensively, the whole night was rough. We had a big touchdown called back in the first half that would have put us up by 2 scores. And I felt that was a really big play in the game. It was called back on a penalty.
How do you feel the homecoming game is going to play out? Well,
we're going to go in and we're playing a good St. Joe Central team. We feel like they have the best running back in the league. We know statistically they do, and he's very good. And a back that gave us trouble last year. So we know we're going to have to really play good defense against St. Joe Central. They've scored a lot of points in all their games. They beat Blue Springs earlier this year, which was a big win for them. And they just do a really nice job with their program. Last year they beat us on the last play of the game up there, and it was a very competitive game. So we know we'll have a great home environment here this week. We're excited to play at Liberty High School. Yes.
What are you doing to get ready for this game?
Well, I think we looked at last week we didn't really run the ball very well, and we've gone back and really tried to go back to some fundamentals of our base run plays and be able to do that. We were also last week missing some players in our passing game, receivers, and that hurt us in our passing production. So we're hoping to get some of those players back and be able to participate this week and go out with the full squad and be able to compete with them this Friday night.
Are there any injuries, and if so, how are they affecting your team?
Well, I think the biggest one that's for the year is Thomas Henricks with a broken arm, and that's one that he'll be out for the season. And we're working on adjusting through that. Luckily, we have some depth at that spot and are able to continue to do things without completely changing our offense or anything with that. And so Xavier Hinkle's been out for a while. We're hoping to get him back soon. He is practicing to some extent right now, so that's been a big return for us in terms of production in our passing game. And he's also a 2-way starter corner as well. Last week we got Caden Hewlett back, who is a kid that started and played every snap as a sophomore. He's been out extensively with the shoulder injury. He started practicing last week, played some on Friday night, and had some big plays for us. He had a kickoff return past the 50, had a couple nice catches, played corner, and he's just a kid that we need out on the field. He's an explosive athlete and fast, and such a positive influence on our team. So we're hoping to see more of him this week as well.
What are some strengths and weaknesses that we have on our team this year that are going to affect this game?
Well, I think if you look at the season as a whole, our strengths have been that we've run the ball well and also been able to keep other teams' rushing production down. And I think minus the Kearney game, we've had really good run defense. The biggest weakness I see offensively is our inability to score once we get it into the red zone. We had 3 trips into the red zone from the 0 to the 20 out where we didn't get any points on the board last week. And those are things we know we have to do if we're going to be a good football team. We have to be able to, when we have that scoring opportunity, be able to go ahead and finish those drives out. So that'd be big.
I know we are playing at Liberty High School this week. It's obviously a way different environment than William Jewell. How do you think that helps the players?
I was really, last week we came out and it was a great environment. Then we had this storm and the rain delay and some things, and that doesn't ever help with things. We didn't come out play as well as we did before that came out, and that's on us as a team and as a staff that we have to be able to work through a rain delay or lightning delay or whatever it may be and be able to go back out and still compete at that same high level. But all in all, it's a great atmosphere with our students right behind us and fans in our school being right here and being able to play a home game like most schools in Missouri are able to do. It was nice in terms of pregame being able to be here, not traveling somewhere to somebody else's field. So we really appreciate all our school district has done to allow us to play these games here, and we're excited about it Friday night.
Are you guys preparing any different than you have in the past?
Well, I think if you just, every week we prepare a little bit different based on defense and offense of what they have. St. Joe Central runs a different defense than what we've seen the last few weeks. So that's been something we've had to prepare for and change some things up with that. I mentioned earlier, their running back is the league's leader in rushing, and he's just an outstanding player. And that's something we've had to prepare for as well, knowing that we have to stop him, not only him, but they have another running back, number 4, that runs the ball extremely well also.
How do you feel that the actual rain and all of the mud and everything affected the playing?
Well, when you look at that, the game conditions, I thought our field was in pretty good shape, surprisingly, after all that rain and the storm that came through. The biggest thing is both teams last week had to play on the same field. Their offense is a run-oriented offense. We're more of a balanced offense, and that may have helped them out in some ways with that. But at the same time, they just really executed their offense well.
Okay, so a broad question just to wrap it up. What are some accomplishments you hope to achieve with this team throughout the year?
Well, I think when we look at this team, we're taking it week by week, and obviously we want to start with the win on Friday night. That's our goal that we have doing that. We know that this part of our schedule coming up is big in terms of our district placement, and we have to perform well in there. So that's what we talk about that a lot as a team. Our goal is to be able to get a home playoff game, and to do that, we have to finish in the top 4 in our district out of those 7 teams. So that's one of our goals we're working to. Some other things that we're really happy about going, our JV that has won the last 2 weeks and done really well. They beat Park Hill last week, beat Truman this week. Caden Bale had 2 touchdowns this past Monday. He's a sophomore running back, and really had a good game, and our defense played extremely well that game. Happy about that. Our freshman team's 3-1. They have a big game against Liberty North tonight. We feel like they're a really good group that's working well, and I know Coach Grossendier is really happy with that group of kids. So thank you for all coming out today, and we'll see you again next week. Thank you.